All right. And again, we are taking your questions this evening. So thank you so much for joining us about slip, trips, and falls. We're going to go to our first email question, and that one comes from Les. And Les says, I slipped and hit my head in a gas station bathroom. I needed 7 stitches to close a gash over my eyebrow. The gas station is not willing to pay my medical bills, saying I should have been more careful. This wouldn't have happened if the floor in there hadn't been such a mess. What do I do? Thank you so much for your question. Harry, what should he do?
Well, I'd contact an attorney. Bathrooms are like entryways and exits. They're high traffic areas. The only problem is there are no cameras in bathrooms, so you don't really necessarily know what caused it. I'm assuming it was water on the floor. But even within bathrooms, was it in front of the sink where someone had washed their hands? Then the facility is going to say, well, we didn't have any notice that somebody just used it and water spilled on the floor and you came along and fell. But I've had bathrooms, toilets leak. I've had them by the door. So it all depends where it was and what the substance was and where it was in the bathroom. And a lot of the places have, they do checks and they'll have on the back of the door, they'll show the last time that they went in there and make sure that it was clean. So you need to look for that as well.
Okay. When you say look for that, as a customer, is that something you would want to make sure you take a picture of, or
if it's there, yes, but more so for the attorney. If this caller Les gets an attorney, that's something you can ask for in discovery, and they would have to turn that over, and you would find out when the last time they inspected the restroom.
Okay.
And so many times you have these cases, and sometimes we work on these cases together, where you ask the person what they fell on, and they don't always remember, or they say, well, it was water, or maybe it was oil if it was an oil change place. And you say, well, do you have a picture of it? And they don't have any picture of it. So it's then their word versus the business's word. And what I've always seen is if there was not water on the floor, the business will have 10 pictures from every different angle showing that the floor was dry. But if it was wet, here they miraculously don't have any pictures or videos. It's just suddenly gone. It's so weird how those cameras don't work then. You can't see anything. And so here's the problem. People are worried about getting better. They just want to get hurt. They just want to go, get to the ER in an ambulance. But if someone can take a picture, even just one picture, to show that substance on the floor, it can be the difference between winning and losing your case, right?
And a lot of times, you'll notice when the substance is on the floor, sometimes you can get street marks or cart marks. Someone's shopping, and what that goes to show, or it's muddy, it's dirty, that it had been there a long time because people have been traversing through it. They should have knew or should have known if they.
And the timing is so important because the longer it's been there, the courts say, the more opportunity for notice that the company has. So, if it's been there 5-10 seconds, that's one thing. If it's been there 5, 10, 15 minutes, then the company probably knew or should have known about it and fixed it and dried it up.
And speaking of timing, that makes me think about just the time frame before you may even get to a courtroom to fight your claim. So I guess those pictures, and that's why you want to document that evidence.
Sure, because memories fade, witnesses leave,
People
especially,
die.
Absolutely, and especially with these companies, there's a lot of turnover. And so, you try to take, a company employee deposition and they've moved to Texas or somewhere else, and you can't easily go get that deposition, especially if they don't want to cooperate. You may be able to subpoena them in some certain cases, but it's difficult. If you don't get the name of a witness, you're not going to be able to just figure that out a year down the road, even if they saw the whole thing and said, oh, I told them to go get that wet floor, mopped up, and they just ignored me. But if you don't have their name, you can't do that. You can't use it.
I had a deposition just yesterday, and you get the incident report, and there's a witness section, no witnesses listed. Luckily, the client got the name and phone number of somebody.
Wow.
Now,
That's great.
Normally what they do is they say, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it, and try to get you to disperse. But clearly the person was there, and then we got the video surveillance showing that the witness was there. Now, why didn't they get that person's name and information?
Because it hurt them.
It's not good for them.
Yeah, they're
Way to
okay
go
with
to your
it. Yeah,
client.
they're okay with the investigation not being complete.
Yes.
So
All right.
it happens.
Okay. Well.